2.1 we were dealing with addition. Now 2.2 we're going to be dealing with multiplication. Multiplication property of equality means whatever you multiplied or divide on one side of the equal sign, you must do it to the other side. So for example, 5 times x. So we're going to start dealing with what if the number in front of the x is not a 1? What if it's a 5? Or, so two numbers put together means times. So let me divide by 5. We're going to do the opposite operation. Right, 5 divided by 5 is 1. So that's kind of like, remember I said in multiplication, 1 is important because that's basically the number that does nothing. So it cancels out. So x, that's how we get the x by itself. 60 divided by 5 is 12. So the value of x equals 12. Now, notice how I call this multiplication because two numbers were put together. Now here we have a division, right? X over 4. A fraction means division. So do the opposite of dividing. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4 because 4 divided by 4 is 1. So that's how it cancels out. So I get x by itself. 3 times 4 on the right side is 12. Once again, whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, you do it to the other side. Let's take a look at another example. I have a fraction. A fraction, 3 over 4 put together with h. So I'm going to multiply it. So, because technically we're going to divide by 3 over 4, but remember dividing by a fraction, it's multiplying. It's multiplying by the reciprocal of it. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4/3. Because that way those 4s, those 3s cancel out. So I have h by itself. Remember I said when there's a number and it is a fraction. I know I saw this in chapter 1. You multiply with the top, you divide with the bottom. It doesn't matter which one you do first. My case, I'm going to divide because it's easier to divide. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And the result of it, multiply with the top. So my value of h should be 8. Right? 2 times 4, it's 8. Now here, the k is not by itself. There's a negative 1 in front of it. It's being multiplied by negative 1. So let me divide by negative 1. Negative divided by negative, it's positive. 15 divided by 1 is 15. And we're going to move into what if the letter's not by itself? There's plenty of letters. Put them together, right? Let me separate them to the equal sign. Put those letters together because they're on the same side of the equal sign. 5 plus 6, we're going to call that 11m equals 33. Now, there's an 11 in front of it. Let me divide both sides by 11. So n must be equal to 3. And it's like, well, why do we have parentheses? Well, get rid of them. Use the derivative property. First, let me multiply the 4 to the inside. So I'm going to have 4x minus 4. Let me multiply that negative 2 to the inside. Notice I called it negative 2. So I'm going to get negative 2x plus 4. And all this is equal to negative 12. Now that I have it all separated, let me separate it to the equal sign. That way it's easier for me to see the sides. I want letters on one side, numbers on the other. So I have negative 4 plus 4. Right, that's 0. I'm not going to move negative 0 on the other side. I basically cancel out. So on the left side, let me combine my x's. 4x minus 2x. So 4 minus 2, that's 2x equals negative 12, right? That's the only thing there. Now let me divide, because the number in front of the x is not 1. So let me divide by the number in front of the x. So let me divide both sides by 2. X in this case is equal to negative 6. So whenever we finish with a number besides 1, we finish with another number in front of the letter, divide both sides by that number. Now lastly, let's take a look at some words. Write an equation using the information given in the problem. Use x as the variable, then solve the equation and find the number. So let's start reading this little by little. When a numbered is multiplied by negative 3, so let me call x the number, x times negative 3. So it's saying when a number is multiplied by negative 3, the result is 45. So equals 45. So that's what we mean with write an equation using the information given. Right? We wrote it in symbols. Now, the instruction says solve the equation and find a number. So let's just find the value of x. I know it's multiplication on the left of the equal sign, so let me divide both sides by -3. Notice I wrote it as a fraction because that means division. So I get the x by itself. 45 divided by -3. Numerically, 45 divided by 3, that's 15. Now when it comes to signs, positive divided by negative, it's -15. So there you go.